It is the world's fastest growing faith. One of every 4 people on earth finds spiritual peace in the words of the Quran. Nearly 1,400 years ago, the angel Gabriel came to Muhammad with revelations that he was to deliver to all of mankind. He spent the rest of his life communicating God's message and setting an example for how each human being should live. Today, Muhammad's words of tolerance and peace offer many the same guidance as they have for centuries. God's messenger, the Prophet Muhammad. Out of respect for the beliefs and practices of Muslims, no image of the Prophet Muhammad or his immediate family will be shown in this biography.
There was a time when he was very poor and he had only one blanket and he needed it, but there was a cat sleeping on the blanket. So he tore that part out, which was under the cat, because he did not want to disturb the cat, and he took the rest of the blanket and went away.
The life of Muhammad ibn Abdullah began in 570 of the Common Era. He was born in Mecca, a thriving trading community in the land that is today Saudi Arabia. No one could have known that the life of this child would become the foundation of a religion that would one day change history.
His nickname, among other things, was Al-Amin, the trustworthy person.
He was very soon known as the righteous one, because he was known for being a fair kind of man, a man who was concerned with social issues.
As well as somebody who was efficient. He was seen as somebody who had strong leadership qualities.
He was known for his kindness to slaves, his charity to the poor, and his fairness in dealing with all.
In many ways, the Prophet was calling people back to the one true faith, to the faith of Abraham, and back to the one true God. Not to a new God, but it was to the one true God whose revelation had gone to Adam, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. And therefore, Muhammad, in every sense of the term, is a reformer.
What he began to create in Medina was something that was absolutely unheard of and novel in Arabia. It was a community bound together by an ideal, by a shared ideology, by a shared religion, not by blood. He was creating, as it were, a super tribe where people were not related to one another, but they were related to one another in faith and by agreement. The emancipation of women was a project that was very dear to the Prophet's heart. There is nothing in the Quran about all women having to be veiled or secluded in a separate part of the house. This is a practice that the Muslims picked up 3 or 4 generations after the death of the Prophet.
Muhammad had validated his vision and proclaimed to the world the force and vitality of Islam. June 632, the Prophet had brought peace to Arabia. He had transformed a religion of many gods into a powerful monotheism based on a moral and ethical guide for daily living.
Who would have thought, today, let alone then, that a man who is described as born an orphan into a divided Arabian society, illiterate, a caravan manager, would create a religious tradition that within 100 years of his death, its physical presence would spill out of Arabia, go all the way to North Africa, and all the way over to India.
And he always warned his followers not to make him into a Jesus, not ever to say that he was divine. He was just an ordinary man, he said.
The fact that he led what we might call a normal life, I think, makes him very appealing to many Muslims, to most Muslims perhaps. That he married, that he had children. These are all things, I think, that make him very approachable as a model for people.
So many centuries after it ended, Muhammad's life remains the foundation of the faith he founded. Today it is the fastest growing religion on earth. As these worshippers respond to the ancient call for prayer, each looks to the Prophet's example to provide peace and serenity in their daily lives. The ancient Kaaba remains in Mecca, and millions of pilgrims arrive each year to retrace the footsteps of the Prophet.